Did you know that ancient Sumerian kings were said to rule for thousands of years? So this beautiful clay prism is the Sumerian Kings List, or one of the manuscripts which make up the Sumerian Kings List. This is probably the most famous, and it is currently stored in the Ashmolean Museum and dates to roughly the Old Babylonian period. Now, the text itself details a long lineage of ancient Sumerian kings and how long they've reigned for. So the kingship starts when it descends from heaven into the city-state of Eridu in southern Mesopotamia near the Persian Gulf, and then spreads out from there. So here's an example of the ridiculously long reigns of certain kings. So this is Alulim, the first ever king on the Sumerian Kings List, and how long, just at the end of the sentence, he was meant to have ruled for. So this makes the Sumerian Kings List a little bit more myth than historical. However, later on in the list, it does start to become more historical and documents kings that we know existed through archaeological evidence and inscriptions, that kind of thing. So some honourable mentions from the Sumerian Kings List. So first up we have Kubaba, who is the first and only woman to be mentioned on the Sumerian Kings List. And of course my man Gilgamesh. So if you're here on my page watching this video, you're probably aware that my main thing is to translate Sumerian into English and explain the grammar, so that's exactly what we're going to do today. So we're going to translate the very first opening lines from the Sumerian Kings List. So here's our transliteration of the signs and the signs themselves. Let's go from left to right. I'll get through it as quickly as I can. So first up we have Nam Lugal. So Nam is an abstract modifier in this particular context. So this changes Lugal, just the noun king, to kingship. Anta is nice and simple. So An means heaven or the sky, and Ta is the ablative case marker meaning from, so from heaven. And then we have Ede Abba. So Ede is forming the verb ed, which means to ascend or descend. Context in a moment will tell us which one it is, and Abba is functioning as some sort of temporal clause. Just a quick note on this temporal clause, Abba. So here's another example of Abba being used temporally in the myth Enki and Ninmach. It's usually a temporal clause in Sumerian is normally Ata. You see that pretty ubiquitously in these sentences, along with some other things. But here we're seeing it as Abba. So for example, in line number 4, with the temporal clause at the end, that would translate to when the Anuna gods were born. So finally we have Eridug with the post-determinative marker Ki, letting us know it's referring to a particular place. And then Nam Luga, which we said earlier is kingship, and the La at the end is forming the locative in. So our final translation would be, after the kingship descended from heaven, the kingship was in Eridug. So that's all from me today. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your weekend, and I will catch you in the next video.